Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Indriana Putri Mareningrum, and I'd like to share material about the main issues in linguistic varieties and multilingual nation in EFL context. Okay, the first is definition linguistic variation and multilingual nation. Definition of linguistic variation. Linguistic variation, or simply variations, refers to regional, social, or contextual difference in the way a particular language is used. And the nature of variation is very important for understanding human linguistic abilities in general. If human linguistic abilities limit themselves narrowly to the limit of human biology, then language must be very similar. If human linguistic ability had no such constraints, then language might vary greatly in many aspects. And definition of multilingual nation. For a country to be deemed as multilingual, there must be a large of population that can fluently speak and understand more than three languages. For example, Papua New Guinea is the most multilingual country with over 839 living languages, according to Ethnology, a catalog of the world's known language. Okay, what we should learn to know linguistic variation and multilingual nation. And here the first is vernacular language. We know about standard language and then lingua francas and pidgins and creoles. The first is vernacular language. Vernacular language, this is informal language or language that is often used in everyday life. The characteristic of vernacular language is has not been standardized. The most basic refers to the fact that a vernacular is an uncodified or unstandardized variety and then doesn't have official status. It refers to the way it occurs in the home as a first variety. And then usually the first language learned by people in multilingual communities. It's used for relative circumscribed function. And then the last is often used for relative narrow range of informal function and sometimes used to indicate that language is used for everyday interaction. Next is standard language. In here, standard language is generally one which is written and which has undergone some degree of regularization or conjugation, and then recognized as a prestigious varieties or code by a community. And the last is used for high function alongside a diversity of low language. You will never forget to buy milk. That's example. And next is lingua francas. It is a language for communication between people whose first language differ. And then in some countries, the most useful and widely used lingua franca is an official language or the national language. And pidgins. A pidgin is a language which has no native speaker, and then pidgin developed as a means of communication between people who don't have a common language. And then pidgins seem particularly likely to arise when two groups with different language are communicating in a situation where there is also a third dominant language. And the last about pidgins is pidgin language are created from the combined effort of people who speak different language. And the last is creoles. The creoles is a pidgin which has a pure native speaker. Creole are learned by children as their first language and used in a wide range of domain. And it's one obvious example of pidgin which has developed into a Creole language. And last about Creole is pidgin language are created from the combined effort of people who speak different language. Okay, maybe that's all from me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.